Good afternoon, everybody. Jim Fleeler coming to you again, Ontario, Canada, Friday, August the 28th. Hopefully everybody, as usual, is staying safe and healthy and keeping up to date with the latest news and suggested precautions. And really opening remarks today. Boy, I'll tell you, the world continues to evolve. COVID-19 challenges continue. There's been a major sort of increase in what I would call public fatigue from COVID, really an era of change and a general increase across the board there. So all of us really have to make sure that we don't lose sight of really public health and the future and safer lives there. So we need to adapt. Without doubt, we need to. We need to respect each other and make positive changes while we go through this new era. It's hard to believe we started back in March and it's 6 months later and we still continue to learn every single day. We learn from our customers, we learn from the government, public health officials across the world and things like that, and adapt. This week, I really want to take a couple of minutes and mention that there's an overwhelming use of foggers and misters randomly just dousing facilities incorrectly. And I know the intent isn't there to do that and whatever, but it's actually it's one of the biggest questions we're fielding on a daily basis now, and the health risks left behind from parents, from school, from children, from trustees, from employees and things like that is, what's the risk there? And there is a slight risk if you're actually applying it properly, for sure. You just cannot go in a room with a fogger or a mister or any kind of device that just randomly just sprays massive amounts of disinfectants, regardless of what the delivery mechanism is, without following the directions on the disinfection label. We've covered those for months and months and months now. I'll cover them again as we go along here. But if you're an individual or a facility that's going in and just spraying any kind of disinfectant through a mechanical device without following all the steps, you are failing. That's not the proper way to do it. It's against the rules. It's against the law. And you really have to look at the label and follow that. So we've seen that. We're going to talk a little bit here about buses and stuff momentarily, and we'll go from there. Some of the things that are going on in the world, the airlines are beginning to deal with thousands of refund policies that have gone on since March, and winter, actually, as a matter of fact. I know I've got several there that are credited and what they're going to do with those, and when's the next time we're going to be able to fly. And that's a big financial burden on the airlines. If you look at the airlines in the vacation industry, now there's bits of information and whispers going on. Well, geez, am I going to be able to go away this winter? I know the offers for trips, I've got a few this week alone that are really half of the normal cost and a much better experience as far as upgraded rooms and things like that. So they've got there's whispers around there, even whispers around Halloween. It's a big not vacation, but a celebration in the United States. They definitely take their Halloween serious there, and how are we going to celebrate that? The distancing involved. Are we going to be allowed to hand out treats and things like that? That's really an era of change. And then we get to Santa Claus. Will he soon be on the radar or not? It's just definitely, these are the unknown things. Winter holidays, airlines, celebrations and things like that. Face masks in personal workspaces. Walking through the offices, going to the washroom, going through the hallways to the media rooms where you're doing copies and all of those kinds of things. That's absolutely, something that we have to learn, and properly wearing the mask. People are wearing masks, and the proper way is obviously over the nose and the chin and the mouth and things like that. But you see people going like that. That's not good enough. You see people going like that. They've got a mask on, but they're not protecting anything there. So obviously properly wearing the mask is critical as well there. So floor direction markers. I mean, I know we have several of those in our facility, and it's quite confusing at first. And in fact, you're going around some aisles and it's taking you twice as long to get there, but you've got to learn that, and you'll get better with it and more efficient. And obviously that's there, and you want to really follow your HR guidelines and protocol in the facilities there. Major business challenges this week. really hotels occupancy rates are down as low as about 22%. And that's an extremely low number. You cannot survive with occupancy rates of 22%. In restaurants, you're seeing occupancy rates of 30%, 40%, whatever. They will not survive at those. I mean, they'll have indeed a very hard time doing that. Banquet halls, wedding cancellations, trade shows. We were probably destined to go to 6 trade shows and speaking engagements this year, and they're all canceled. 90% of them are canceled. Virtual trade shows are coming up. There'll be probably virtual weddings in the near future if they haven't already taken place there as well. But that has an impact on businesses, restaurants, movie theaters, travel, really up to about 75% decline, which is a serious thing. And it's something that we just have to get used to without doubt. Questions surrounding their future. How do they convince the public to return, to gain public trust? We talked about that in a few of the webinars about a month ago on returning to work, convincing the public that it's safe, validating, measuring your cleaning protocol, all of those things. And now more than ever, as we move further into this, that really needs to be yours if that applies to you, or if you're a distributor offering services or any kind of intelligence surrounding sanitation and reducing the risk of an outbreak. That needs to be your number one goal. Together, it needs to be your number one goal. And we should learn together. Pre-planning, we always talk about that on our webinars there. The governments have all just started and they're continuing to fund large pandemic supply orders, right? We're right around the corner from returning to school. In fact, in some provinces and some states, they've returned to school. And really, when you're and there's automatic orders going into school boards where a pallet of masks or a pallet of hand sanitizer or a pallet of disinfectant or a pallet of whatever will automatically show up saying compliments of the government. Number one, they're not expecting it. They know it came from the government, but then there's training protocol involved in all of those particular things, health and safety matters and all those things. But what happens is they place large orders with manufacturers for lots of truckloads of goods. And what happens, that actually has an effect on the supply chain and inventory. And coming back to that, we cannot stress enough the fact that you need to make sure you've got your extra inventory on hand. Disinfectants, we've been saying it all along, there will be another shortage this fall. In fact, probably any particular day. I think we'll go through, we'll sort of experience the issues that we had in March and April and May all along. So far, we seem to be okay, but I can tell you, we cannot, you just need to take that advice and bring in extra inventory, because it's going to be a really, I guess, a fluid winter, meaning it's going to change on an hourly basis, a daily basis and things. And we don't want to be the one to sit there and say, sorry, we appreciate the order, but we can't deliver. We'll always make sure somebody gets something. It won't be the amount you probably want, but heed that advice and away you go, because we really think things are going to be a little bit more difficult to get. So it's ramped up tremendously in the last 10 to 14 days. Faster than we've actually predicted or thought it would happen. What will next week hold and the week after? We're not quite sure. So anyway, it's better to have more than other, and that's for sure. So with that being said, let's begin today's session here. So obviously 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We've gone to our bi-weekly webinars. This is our second one. Our next one is on September 11th. By the way, I'm going to skip by me. And this week we're going to continue talking about our cleaning protocols to lower the risk of an outbreak. That's been our main theme all the way along, and we're proud of that. And we continue to get positive input from customers and end users, whether they're existing or even brand new, saying thank you. I know Asquith and I certainly appreciate that when we do our questions and answers. They are bi-weekly. This time today, we're going to talk a little bit, not a lot, but about the time for back to school and disinfection protocol and buses. Buses are making the news, the media all over this week. There's some really bad approaches to cleaning that we're going to talk about there a little bit. And we've got a couple of educational pieces that'll be announced in the next couple of weeks for you. As we've been saying, you've been asking for other speakers to speak I know, Asquith and I field the questions and carry the conversation, but you've asked and said, why don't you bring in somebody else from outside the industry that we can learn from? Take a variety of particular people and whatever. So then we thought, geez, you know what, that is a great idea. So today we've got Giselle Chartrand. She's the president of Balpex organization in Canada, which really is an entrepreneurial group of members from manufacturers and distributors in food packaging and in sanitation from coast to coast, as a matter of fact. I've known Giselle for many, many years, highly respect her opinions and things, and she does a really tremendous job with all of those members. And so we're going to ask her a few questions there and say, what's going on in the industry with food packaging? What's going on in the industry with sanitation? What's COVID-19 done to prove more efficiencies or change or innovation and things? So that's a great, that's our first time actually doing that. She was our first choice naturally, which we've talked about. So you'll hear from her at the end of this, as a matter of fact. So let's get right into the school bus cleaning protocol. This is really one of the biggest worries that parents and students and school board officials have probably this week. Schools have started to go back. If they haven't gone back, they're going next week and things like that. And it's just an era there that you've seen. If you've seen any of the videos flying around, if you've seen any of the news media picking up there's some things that are really not solid practices that we want to bring to your attention today. So there's a high level of anxiety returning to school in the beginning. A lot of students really looking forward to it. I mean, what's really amazing is if you talk to the children, they truly miss their friends and they miss that networking and all of those things. And I think you're going to have probably a much more engaged student this year as a general rule, because they actually, maybe we took it for granted a little bit that it was school and whatever, but I think now there's a severe interest, but there's an anxiety of returning to school, and particularly if you have to use the bus. So there are a multitude of opinions. There's a lot of questions from parents and students and surrounding whether they do it or not. And what's good about this is, look, it's okay to have different opinions. There's no question there, but finding the education and gaining the right education so you can make an informed decision is really the key that you want to achieve there. There's serious questions surrounding the school bus disinfection and cleaning protocol, whether it's distancing on the buses. There's people saying they should be every other seat. They should be zigzagged across the seat. They should have plexiglass dividers. The driver should be protected. It goes on and on and on. And every single one of these elements needs to be discussed, and really practicing social distancing and proper cleaning protocol and disinfection is the key, right? In the news, there appears to be a major focus on people just walking into buses and spraying everything down with a fogger or a mister or whatever, and not following the 5 critical elements of cleaning and disinfecting to ensure public safety, right? You cannot walk onto a bus or a plane or a train or rail car, whatever it is, and just randomly spray disinfectants through any kind of mechanism without following the 5 critical elements. We've talked about that for weeks, right? Now there's even, I seen one the other day where there's a robotic device that actually starts at the back of the bus, ends at the front of the bus, just spraying a disinfectant. And they're doing it up to 4 times daily without pre-cleaning. That is not correct. That is not the procedures surrounding disinfection or personal safety or employee wellness. That is causing a huge issue in the future. Residual left behind, transfer to skin, respiratory problems, immunity with superbugs, damage to the seating, all of those things. I mean, it's just, and it produces a perfect host on the seats and anything where the disinfectant is allowed to lay without pre-cleaning and removing all the gross film and debris and things like that, that causes a host environment which actually will increase transfer. That is not a situation we want to be in. So again, why do we exist in this industry? We pride ourselves on deep facility specialists and industry knowledge and informing you about these things, right? You cannot continue to do that if you're actually doing that, and reach out to us or any of our distributors and we will obviously help you. So I just put together here really the number 1 step for bus pre-cleaning and disinfecting, right? And we have a couple of things coming up here that we're excited about, but surfaces absolutely must be pre-cleaned. You've got to remove the gross filth, the gross debris, organic matter, foodstuffs. It doesn't matter. Anything that's there and visible. Okay, you must remove that before disinfecting, right? And once that's removed, then you can be ensured that when you apply the disinfectant, there's nothing there that's contaminating it or weakening it, that it will not do what it's supposed to do, okay? The more debris you have, the less effective the disinfectant will be as a general rule, okay? So that's why you do it, right? Now, pre-cleaning, some mixed opinions here. Do you have to pre-clean with a disinfectant? No. Right? It depends on infection control protocol in particular facilities, but you can use a really good general purpose cleaner to pre-clean ahead of time and then follow up with a disinfectant where you would caringly and thoughtfully and sparingly apply the disinfectant. So we have a great program there we've talked about. It's on our webinars, it's on our website, our ES72 and 364 concentrate dispensing program. Right? That's our new dispenser that we absolutely, it just is terrific from training and color coding and no chemical contact. That works really well to pre-clean and then sparingly, thoughtfully, and carefully applying the disinfectant, right? Then you've got to make sure that when it's you disinfect, you've got to use the appropriate delivery method, respecting the dwell time. Remember on a couple of webinars, and for those that haven't seen them, maybe revisit it, but we talked about how to spray with a trigger bottle, how to apply with a flip cap, how to apply with a charge bucket, how to apply with pump up sprayers and things. And I mean, you've got to make sure if that disinfectant calls for a 5-minute dwell or a 10-minute dwell, what doesn't matter what the dwell time is, that surface remains wet. Right? And what I would do, we always say a potable water rinse around food contact surfaces where children maybe are mouthing or teething and things like that. But on a school bus, if you're going in, I mean, you've got residual left behind. And I mean, what we're doing with COVID-19, because you've ramped up your cleaning frequencies, doing it 3 or 4 times a day, you would do a water rinse and wipe dry. And then you've got no problems and you've done the job right. Okay. So that's the number one steps involved there. And looking ahead about lowering the risk, and this is what I've been our mandate from day one, we're going to put together a complete step-by-step bus cleaning and disinfecting educational document. We'll have that together in the next couple of weeks for you, just like we did our elements for vinyl floor care and also our elements for wood floor care and procedures. We're going to do that, and we'll probably do a future cleaning video as well, covering all of the steps, right? And all of the health and safety precautions. So that's what we do at Charlotte. We listen to you, we keep our ear to the ground and make sure that we understand what the issues are, and we want to truly help you and lower the risk of an outbreak there. So this is my standard slide that we have, and it still continues the largest area of failure. Buses included, by the way. Use a registered product, read and understand the label, dilute it properly, regardless of the method, pre-clean surfaces, respect the dwell time, and a potable water rinse. One of the biggest questions we're getting, I guess probably since Asquith and I have started talking about it, is the PPM paper. So the litmus paper, once you figure out, okay, do I need 200 PPM or 400 or 800 or 1,000 or 1,300 or 3,000 or whatever it is, always having that litmus paper there that you can frequently test the efficacy of your disinfectant throughout the cleaning shift. Right? That ties right into dilution and properly and things like that, the shelf life of products, whatever it may be. These are simple tools that really should be in your toolbox to make it a cleaner, safer facility all the time, not just when COVID's here, because you know what, quite honestly, when we're done with COVID, or if it's done with I guess I'd say there will be another one. Right, that we'll have to relearn and carry on and go from there. So really, that's the basis of the information I wanted to go through today. This is our 23rd webinar, and thank you again for attending that. We have, our webinars are going to continue bi-weekly. Our next one is September the 11th, and today we've got that'll include obviously the most recent COVID-19 updates. Then we'll have new issues to deal with and solve and things. And I really want to go. We taped a little earlier Giselle's discussion here, so we're going to put that on now there, and it's about 20 minutes long in total there, and it's something that'll really educate you on what's going on in the marketplace there. So we'll convert to that right now. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, Giselle. Thanks for joining us today. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, and thank you for having me, gentlemen.
Yeah, excellent. I'm assuming you've been watching our webinars all along there. I know we've put them on, and we can tell because we have the analytics behind the scene there, but we've been hosting those educational seminars, webinars, I should say, since the beginning of March, and thousands of people across the world have been attending and getting involved and really asking us a lot of key questions on how can we honestly help them lower the risk of an outbreak in their facility? How can we help them cope with COVID-19? How can we educate them and stay safer and all of those things?
I do want to say that we have put your video content and your weekly updates in our member blog, which gets a substantial readership, and it always has the highest click-throughs. And we've been putting them in there since you've been producing them. So thank you for doing that. It's really important. We're trying to share and educate with our members and bring them up to date. And the work you're doing on those videos are just excellent. So thank you for that.
Excellent.
I help our members across Canada. Balpex is an association. It's for independently owned distribution companies. We're predominantly in cleaning and packaging. And really the job that we have is bringing these independent companies together using our collective volume and helping them with opportunities in procurement, in other services, and really giving them the recognition that they deserve.
So how many members would you have?
We have 49 members across Canada, and we're literally in every province from each coast, and they're really critical when we think about servicing the end-use market. You know, independent distribution goes the extra mile. We like to say we go the extra 10 miles.
Right, yeah.
You know, our members really do serve the small to mid and the very large end users across our country, from cleaning, packaging, industrial supplies. They really do an exceptional job at that.
I just wanted to take note of, show you Charlotte is a member of Balpex, and we're a fairly recent member of Balpex, and you know, it comes down. We were shocked in 2019 where we were awarded the actual President's Award, which comes from you, you know, being the president, and I just wanted to thank you for recognizing us. And why did you pick us for that?
So outside of the criteria of educating and really being what we call a poster child for what a manufacturing partner looks like to Balpex distribution companies, to Balpex members, you know, you are a pleasure to deal with. You really have always put innovation in front of Charlotte products. We've always felt that in the short time that we've had our partnership, you know, we see consistent new products and new development, and then this desire to educate.
We were all over the moon.
Oh, there's no question there. So now your members consist of food service, packaging, and janitorial and sanitation and things like that, manufacturing there. What do you think COVID-19 has done for somebody in the food service business that sells all of the containers and the cutlery and all of those napkins and things? What do you think? Have they learned anything, do you think?
Well, I think distribution, specifically independent distribution, have, you know, they have been learning and developing through the course of time, you know, the knowledge that they transfer to those customers, right? What are the best products to use? And of course, pre-COVID, we were all very much focused on environmental packaging.
Yes.
And what can we do to make sure that we're being good stewards of our environment? And that took a lot of our energy. I would say that with the transferring of the critical areas, you know, COVID took more attention and time, but I wouldn't say it took away from us being focused on being good stewards and our members trying to do the right thing by educating their customer, keeping them healthy and safe. You know, those are critical things that I think we took for granted. You know, they are, I call our members the unsung heroes of the distribution industry. You know, those that are selling cleaning and hygiene products. People would have said it wasn't very sexy. It's pretty darn sexy today. Everyone wants to have their time and their attention. And I think that's probably what they've learned the most is they have to share and transfer that knowledge and do it in a multitude of ways.
So peculiar because for ways we've done face-to-face meetings, we've done conferences, we've done trade shows and things, and now I have not been on an airplane since March the 3rd. I just did officially last week a large education board of education in Ontario that normally I would be in front of 400 or 500 or 600 custodians in a stage in a theater type setting or whatever, and I did it virtually there. And we're getting accustomed to it there. Do you think your members, have they increased their amount of virtual responses and dealing with the customers at the same time?
Yeah, it's a great question. We in fact, we started to get a monthly member pulse check to understand what are key areas of change or of things that they need support with, and part of the questions are how much of your sales are done online, and what sales tools are your selling organization. And Jim and I we go back quite a ways in our sales experiences, so using Zoom and GoToMeeting, are those our preferred method? Probably not.
Yeah.
But they have all ramped up. I mean, we have some that are making 20 to 30 end user visits, virtual visits weekly using a digital platform or an online platform.
Do you think this is something that's going to perpetuate
I think it will.
through the industry where, we don't put, people on the aircraft to travel across the country where we can do this virtually?
I think there's something to be said about being able to be creative and to share knowledge in a face-to-face environment. I think it's difficult to do that sometimes and collaborate on a platform where we're all seeing, I think some of us have gotten two-dimensional tired, right? or Zoom fatigue, some may call it. But I do think that, managing budgets, managing our time, we've recognized that, boy, we can really use these new platforms to a far degree. I relate it to this. I think prior to us experiencing these changes with COVID, I think we were all starting to get to a virtual place. We were on the 401 highway, and COVID happened, and we're now on the Autobahn.
Yeah.
There's no end to the speed limit. We are
Yeah.
just driving at a rapid pace, and I think we're going to stay on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're
and a
not-
safer pace probably too.
Absolutely.
And because I think we just take for granted life in general as far as cleanliness goes, and viruses and bacteria and whatever. I mean, our bodies are amazing. Amazing machines, I guess, for lack of a better word, that just, are immune to a lot of different, health issues and risks and things. And I think we just got to a point where we're just, maybe someone's just saying to us, okay, you better, wise up and really up your game when it comes to sanitation and food. And I mean, look at the restaurant business, food service business, food processing, custodial. I mean, I think it's been it's not a good thing, but obviously our learnings, our takeaways from it will be better. We'll come out bigger and stronger on the other end, I've always said.
I would hope that the protocols that we're learning today, that we should have all known, but we chose to cut corners in so many different types of industries, now has become critical. That if I give you goggles and gloves to come into your office, then I better make sure that your environment is healthy and safe and risk-free of contaminant, and using these disinfecting
We went through
processes.
a little bit of that, 17 years ago during
Right.
SARS. Everyone washing their hands, and then it just tapered off. This time, though, I think this is here to stay.
I think we have a great generation that's coming in, this young generation who's bright and knowledgeable and has passion, and they're going to help all of us recognize that we can't go back to, the old way, and a squirt of hand sanitizer here and there would suffice. That
Right.
proper hand hygiene, proper disinfection,
Yes.
it's that generation that's going to help us. I believe they're going to help us get to a
you're
better
right.
place.
I think you're right on the money there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is a continuum. We're going to see this thing throughout, from here on in, where we've elevated the custodian,
Yes.
to heights beyond compare. We're going to see that a lot more. Cleaning, where we respect, not that in our industry we did respect the custodian, but I think in general terms in society, it was the low tier job. And now people realize how important it is to have, the custodian, how important the custodian is in our industry and just in society at large.
Absolutely.
Really. It's huge.
And that, from our perspective, we say then that's how important the distributor sales rep is who manages and supports. They're the subject matter expert if they're in the cleaning and hygiene space or janitorial space, or if they're in the packaging space. They're the ones that are helping inform and do all these things that, yes, we can get a lot of information and purchase things online, but we don't have access to that knowledge and that individual who can help answer these questions that are really vital in how we keep our people safe moving forward.
Absolutely.
That's the change I see personally, is that when you came to capital or budgets or whatever, when there was times that were tough, the first area to get slashed was cleaning and hygiene and the whole works, right? And
I bet you that won't happen again.
No, I think it'll be finally well deserved as to where the money is spent, and that's good for us. And whether it's training or whether it's whatever, but coming to that deep facility specialist, we need more of them in our industry, more than we've ever had. We have bodies out there, and we have the internet, and we have anything we want to get information when it's a virtual highway full of it. But now more than ever, do you think that there's going to be a higher demand for that industry expert, that one that can come in, whether it's virtually, whatever, and really walk a customer through safer ways to be sustainable in the employee wellness and lowering the risk of outbreaks and things? Where do you see that fitting? Do you see that ramping up?
It has to. It really has to. I think people are needing it and people are wanting it. And with all things, I think as we understand, as we continue to live through what the COVID is going to provide from a new work environment. We know office buildings are going to look different. We know that certain environments that our customers, our members are keeping healthy and safe are going to look different.
One of the big things we did, and Asquith and I, we say it every week when we do our webinars, is we can't believe the amount of input we're getting from the facilities and the end users. They're constantly writing in questions. That was great. Honestly, thank you. And then they're saying, is there any way you could find it to talk about this, or we could educate us on this and all of it? And they're not our ideas anymore. They're really the idea of this panel, this sort of bringing in other experts, and it came from our customers.
Don't you think too, Jim, it's part of now that people have the time to ask the questions? Are these protocols that we're currently using appropriate? I think we were all on the treadmill to, this is the task that needs to be done and complete. And I think that both the end user and certainly distribution is asking more questions, is taking more time to watch educational videos, to understand the complexity of what we're dealing with today. And this won't be the only one. Through the course of history, we've had pandemics and outbreaks, and unfortunately, I don't have that crystal ball. I wish I did, but I'm sure we'll have continuations of some types of outbreak, and it's now, I think, more important than ever where people are taking the time. Not that they maybe knew it all, but they just didn't have the time to ask the questions. And really pushing themselves to be better and safer.
Arming themselves with the right information. And
100%.
What's been one thing that we've also learned is, even the government bringing this to our attention, is the amount of false information that's out there, that's been broadcast about these miracle products and, all of these. I'll talk from the disinfectant world, the ones that come out and say we got all these knives and needles on the surface once you spray it, and when the virus comes in contact, it punctures it and it dies, and then we've got a residual effect that lasts for years behind. And the government actually stepping up, taking responsibility, and really slapping the hands. The alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
That's another big one.
Right?
Listen, if a pregnant woman can't use a hand sanitizer, and it's not published somewhere on a dispensing unit of some kind in big bold letters, then we all have to take a big deep breath and step back.
That's a huge problem.
It's a terrible issue that happened. I think people tried to do the right thing by producing product. Listen, we have millions and millions of cases on order. Our members are looking for their appropriate products to fit in dispensers, and having to say no to customers is a terrible thing. None of us. We all come from a sales background. Who wants to say no? And it's been really, really challenging. And so yes, these products have popped up, and was it the easy fix? Perhaps some thought that it was, but certainly as we dig deep and realize the risks, we've said, we can't be in this. We have to be measuring and be better and provide better for our customer, provide better for the end user across our country.
Yeah, right. For sure. I'm just looking at the timer there. We've only got a spot for one or two more questions there. Innovation, obviously probably a driving force with your membership there. Anything you can share with us that any particular members have come up with something different since COVID-19 that can help lower the risk?
There is some new innovation. We just have to make sure it's tried and tested, and that it really is going to deliver on the critical cleaning or the critical nature of what it's being produced for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've I know us. We this is not new news. We developed this from day one. Right now, this was in the works before COVID-19, just as our standard, really looking at innovative programs and listening to our customer and having the industry insights. This was COVID didn't hit March 1st and then we developed this March the 2nd. I can tell you this was in the works for probably a year, Elspeth, I guess.
Because it has to go through Health Canada to get the DIN numbers, and also through the EPA,
for the U.S.
For the U.S. markets. So yes, so it was really well timed so that we can launch this product in March this year.
But this has been, your members have bought millions of these. It's just, registered with Health Canada, and basically there's 5 steps to using a disinfectant, and we've discussed that protocol, but one of them is accurate dilution. And if you ask somebody to mix something at 1 to 64 or 1 to 128 or 1 to 56 manually, it's just not going to happen. And if you're rich on the dilution, you're not doing it. You're not getting the kill that you want. And if you're lean, you're not doing it. So this here is ready to use. So basically this was solid peace of mind for any facility to go in and dispense it to anybody. Give the bottle, a refillable bottle in the whole works, and they had that peace of mind. They had basically 20% higher rate of success from the 5 steps of cleaning properly right in their hand instantaneously, and that has never stopped. I mean, that's just one example of us, and then we've
and you may want to add to that too that met Health Canada's standards for the emerging viral pathogen, which is SARS CoV-2. That met the guidelines, and so it's on the Health Canada's list of products which would be effective against SARS-CoV-2.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, this is not innovation. I mean, a pump-up sprayer is a pump-up sprayer. It's been around for 20, 30, 40 years. The problem is we didn't educate people on these in general. And I mean, I can go through a facility and use this. I'm cleaning one cubicle or one office, it's not a big deal, but if I'm in a school board or an office tower or whatever, and I'm just doing this all day long for 8 hours, I'm going to have some employee wellness issues, right? Where if you take something like this, pour it in, you're ready to go, it pressurizes, you go through press, and it sprays. I mean, this thing's like $30, right?
Money well spent.
It is absolutely. So this is some of the things that you say. It's coming back to the sprayers. It's not all just about that's a delivery mechanism, right? And these are delivery mechanisms, but mirroring the right chemistry with the type of facility, the risks involved and things with the delivery method is key. Is really
and another key thing too with that dispenser, Jim, it also forces the user to make sure that they've got sufficient product down to ensure that you've got a proper dwell time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's. I think a couple of things, and we'll just wrap up. But I hear for the first time the cleaning industry, and I hear this from building service contractors, that the focus for price-based cleaning is soon going to be replaced with quality-based cleaning. And I think that's. Do you agree with that statement?
Isn't that a novel idea?
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Too many of our members who have been working in the cleaning and hygiene space and working with contract cleaning, have had to really find ways to cut corners, to provide, good quality products, but giving them, an inexpensive dispensing method. And at some point, you can only cut where there's no cutting left. Distribution is not a, much to maybe the end user's misunderstanding, this isn't a high profit industry.
Yeah.
They're selling large volume cases. toilet paper rolls and hand towel rolls. They're big boxes, and they're low profitability.
Yeah.
And so, trying to manage effectively and at the same time educate. And we're not talking by any means, none of our members have taken a price increase during COVID. They've had to manage a flurry of price increases coming in, manage inventory assets and allocations, right? So imagine if you're buying a truckload of goods and only 10% of it is turning. You've got 90% sitting in your warehouse. That's a really bad word to use in the world of distribution when your margins already are pretty small. So this whole episode of understanding good cleaning, understanding good protocols, and to take, obviously price will always be important, but let's get the job done that really needs to be done, and let's take care of people.
Well said. Well said. Well, that concludes our timer's gone out there. Asquith is obviously starts to put more input in here and there, but Giselle, just on behalf of Charlotte Products, thank you very much for coming in today. I think it's been great to have you here. Your insights are always respected. Great comments you've got, and I'd like to thank the people that have requested that. As a matter of fact, we'll continue. You're our inaugural person, I guess, or victim, I guess, or
well, I'll tell you this, Giselle, we'd love to have you back.
Yes.
And thank you very much for coming, spending this little time with us.
Well, we appreciate it, and all of our Balpex members who are big fans of Charlotte Products, and they do appreciate all that you're doing. I know it's been 24/7, and you may not hear it enough, but we thank you. Our members appreciate all the extra that Charlotte has done for them, acquiring goods, making sure that product is in the supply chain. We've had some challenges with partners across all of our sub-segments, but you guys have really done an exceptional job. So on behalf of all of us at Balpex, thank you to Charlotte and the team here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, that concludes our session today. Thank you. Don't forget, as Asquith always says, wash your hands and practice social distancing, and wear a mask, and use the alcohol-based hand sanitizer. So thank you.